Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dugout Debrief. This episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a series preview of the Chicago Cubs and Los Angeles Dodgers, where the first game will be played on April 24th, 2026 at 9:15 p.m. Central Time. This series will be a 3-game split between the Cubs and Dodgers, with the first pitching matchup of the series being Jameson Taillon versus Emmett Sheehan, both of them being strong contributors on their respective teams this year, and up to this point should be a pretty entertaining game. Alright, so first we're going to be jumping into some of the stats with Emmett Sheehan. He has not nearly gotten off to the start this season as he kind of had last season, which was really strong with a sub-3 ERA. Now he's north of 5.5 ERA with a not great ERA plus and FIP count at a 5.15. We don't like to see his strikeout to walk ratio or his hits per 9 ratio either. But he's serviceable, he's young, and he's still going to be able to get things figured out in this young season. And I think Dodger fans should not be giving up on this kind of side of the story, even though they have guys like Yamamoto and Ohtani, of course, Glasnow. I mean, there's so many names on this Dodgers team that we don't really need to say out loud at this point because they're just spoiled to have those kinds of names on this team and then have such young talent like Emmett Sheehan just kind of lurking in the shadows. But I do expect him to get off to a decent start against this Cubs team, although this Cubs team has had a pretty strong offense up to this point. Playing this game at home in LA, might give this kid a little bit of spark and kind of help things get back on track after, this Cubs team, they've done quite a bit of heater recently. All right, so now we're going to transition into Jameson Taillon. With a sub 4 ERA, his stats do compare pretty closely to Emmett Sheehan's overall, besides the obviously couple more earned runs that Sheehan's given up. He's pitched 2.2 more innings than he has to this point. His strikeouts per 9 and strikeouts per walk ratio are relatively similar to Sheehan's, but Taillon's given up a couple more home runs in this time, and his whip is a little bit better than Sheehan's at this point, which is definitely something that you like to see for a starter like Taillon, who at points in the season can kind of taper off a little bit, and so you like to see him get off to a better start this season. He will be facing off against a very formidable offense in the Los Angeles Dodgers with, a lot of not unknown, but not expecting contributors this season in the likes of Dalton Rushing, and he's definitely the more outlier of the two, but Andy Pages also has been one of the greater hitters in all of the MLB this year. He's, to say the least, Dalton Rushing is really honestly fighting for that DH spot in the lineup right now. He's hitting north of 400. His last 5 haven't been really that glaring on the chart, but when you're slugging a 1.16 and your OPS is north of 1.6, you're going to want this guy in the lineup almost every day. And at this point, he's really just backing up Will Smith. And so being able to kind of fight for that DH spot against guys like Shohei Ohtani, it's pretty nuts to have a guy like that just burst onto the scene at this rate and kind of make his name known. I'll kind of head back to Dalton Rushing here in a second, but I also wanted to mention Andy Pages for this Dodgers team. He's been one of the greater outfielders, especially his defensive play, being able to contribute on both sides of the ball. He's been so consistent this season from the right side of that batter's box, and with an OPS just under a 1 and an OPS plus of 163, which is 63% better than league average. You really like to see his that slugging number go up as well. He's struck out at a rate that you really don't want to see so far at this point. He's striking out at pretty much once per game at this point, and when you're hitting 330 and your OPS is 1,000, you're not really thinking about that kind of thing. But you would like to see that number kind of come down and see him get a little bit more balls in play. But if you're a Dodgers fan and you're at this point with Andy Pages, I don't even know if that's really that much of a point of concern for this team. So transitioning back into Dalton Rushing, kind of want to just glance over his interaction with Jung-Ho Lee and then him kind of just attempting to break up a play at second base after being nailed by Logan Webb. What seemed like, honestly, a pretty dirty play, just sliding directly into Willy Adames at second base. And Willy Adames actually reacted in the way you'd want your guy to react, but it was immediately after Rushing got plunked. So I think there was not much bad blood intended by Rushing. He's just kind of trying to make a statement. But the FM kind of statement he made after looking at Jung-Ho Lee after that play at the plate, obviously it was not taken lightly by the Giants. And Rushing's kind of made a few different types of interesting comments this season already, and you don't want to think that he's, getting a little bit too, not full of himself, but he's gotten off to a really hot start, and his play on the field has really backed up what he's been saying. But a lot of the quote unquote fishy comments that he made against the Rockies, and it's been an interesting start for him. And I think as long as he can keep it up, it doesn't really matter what he says in the media, but he's definitely been able to back that thing up with the play on the field. And so just another reason to hate the Dodgers even more if you're an opposing fan. So there are a few guys on this Chicago Cubs offense that have really made some significant changes and overall impacts for this team so far, especially on the win streak that they're kind of riding right now. But there's one guy in particular or two guys in particular that I want to talk about. The first being PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. One, he got off to a really, really slow start, and he struck out at a rate that you really don't want to see. I mean, he struck out a lot last year, 155 times last year. He's already at 29 through 25 games. But, his WAR is still looming at a 1 so far, which, for a young season, that's pretty promising and hopeful for the Chicago fan base. And, obviously you can see that he, like you've seen in the past, he can be a difference maker in these types of games. But it seems like PCA has kind of made some headway on getting back to where he was. His last 16 at-bats, last 5 games, last 16 at-bats, he's 6 for 16, which is definitely promising, and I'm looking to kind of get back to where he was. Next guy being Nico Horner, just been unreal this summer. You're looking at his baseball reference, a 1.8 WAR count, and just averages looming or just north of 300 OPS in the just sub 900. Guy's been insane for this Cubs team. With he's stealing bases, he's getting on, he's walking at a great rate. He's not striking out. I mean, just stuff you like to see for a guy he's been pretty solid his entire career, and he stays healthy. I mean, the last 3 seasons he's played 150 plus games. Not much more you can ask out of this guy. Moving on to some of the future pitching lineups, I've kind of foreseeing for this series. On the Cubs side of the ball, might see the likes of Colin Ray or Shota Imanaga, following those guys. Kind of diving a little bit deeper into these Cubs pitchers. Colin Ray has actually had a pretty solid start to the year. With an ERA lingering around 3, his strikes to walk ratio at a 4, which is really what you like to see, and then his WHIP hovering right around a 1. All really good stuff for this pretty damn good Cubs rotation. And then obviously moving on to Shota, who's just been really, really good this year. And there were talks of him kind of being hurt last year, and I think it was a lower body injury, and so changing up his kind of positioning on the mound and then being able to get back healthy again has really been a big help. He got off to a good start last year, and he's off to a pretty decent start this year as well, obviously, with the ERA just above a 2. You really like to see his strikeouts to walk ratio, strikeouts per 9 ratio is really good as well. Not giving up home runs. It's looking good for Shota as long as he can stay healthy and keep keep doing the good deeds. Now transitioning into the beast that is the Los Angeles Dodgers pitching rotation. I am following Emmett Sheehan. I believe we're going to see Sasaki again. He hasn't been nearly as profitable as some would say compared to the likes of Yamamoto and of course Ohtani. He hasn't been that great his career, but we could see him this series. He's in that rotation still. And then we need to talk about Justin Robleski. In 3 starts, he's got a sub-2 ERA. He's not a big strikeout guy, but his whip, .875, below a 1. Anytime you have a guy, and obviously this is still pretty early, he's only 25. When your whip is in that position, you're not giving up hits. You're not walking guys. You're really just producing at a rate that your team could need you. And if this guy wasn't on the Dodgers, I think we'd talk about him more. It's the same thing with Pages and a lot of these different guys in the lineup that kind of just fall character to it's the Dodgers. We don't really care. They're going to be producing all these different types of numbers. He takes a step in this next season, and he could be an all-star, but he plays for the Dodgers, and so these kind of stats and numbers don't really kind of move the needle for the fans in the MLB. All right, so that's going to do it for the stats period of this preview. I'm expecting for this to be a really, really fun matchup this series. We can get some really good duels on the mound, along with just some great offensive production. As far as picks go for this series, I think it's still the Dodgers. This is definitely an eye test kind of series for both teams. Obviously, the Dodgers haven't looked great in the last 2 series against the Giants and the Rockies, and the Cubs are coming off a complete heater. But this Dodgers team is just way too good, and I believe that this Cubs team will still, obviously be there at the end of the pennant race and stuff like that. That NL Central is also a very interesting talking point, but I think this is still all Dodgers. I think the Cubs will get 1 game. This is all Dodgers, especially where they're at in the pitching rotation, where the offense is at, back home in Los Angeles. I think this is all Dodgers, unfortunately. All right, so that's going to do it for episode 3 of Dugout Debrief. A little bit of a different kind of episode here today, and I've been really looking forward to doing a series preview. It's just kind of at where I'm at in the week, and I'm really pumped to see the feedback on this one. Any feedback or different ideas that you guys would like to see for future videos, please let me know down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good one.